Yo everyone, it's the 9th of July 2019. This is Pilgrim, and here's another episode or just clip of me talking shit out driving. Today I want to talk about Epic Games, the Epic Games Store, and why I think that they're basically evil. They're pretty like a trash company. And here's what I think about Epic. I mean, when it comes to their games, they've got Fortnite, right? That's what they made. That's made them billions and fucking billions of dollars. You know, I can't remember if it was $3 or $4 billion they made in fucking profit on Fortnite last year, or if it was the year before. Like, they're making a killing off it. And there are several issues I have with Fortnite. You can't deny it's a popular game that's very successful. A lot of people play it, a lot of people enjoy it. And I can see what's good about the game, even though I personally don't enjoy playing it. I can see why some people would enjoy playing it, because it fits a certain like gamer profile. And they've marketed it very successfully. But that's the first issue I have with them, is the way that it's marketed very clearly towards kids. That's the target market, and I think there's good ways of doing this and there are bad ways of doing this, and especially in light of that recent committee that was the Gambling Commission in the UK, who was speaking to representatives from EA and Epic. In light of the discussions that they had, I think it's pretty clear that Epic are quite duplicitous, or at least not truthful about the sinister, manipulative way that they market it. They want kids to buy new skins the whole time. There was an article recently, and I think it was Kotaku, I'm not sure, about how the base skin, what was known as the default, has become like a bad name to call people in school, in young kids, to call them a default because they don't have the good skins. And this is the business model that Epic is using. They're marketing like, big flashy cartoony skins to kids to squeeze more money out of them. Now, I say that there's a good and there's a bad way to do this, and of course anything involving kids is always problematic when you have marketing. I mean, fucking toy companies, making adverts to sell things to kids is already pretty manipulative, because clearly it's not the kids who are buying it, it's the adults. And then, but anyway, blah blah blah. When it comes to Fortnite, there are interesting comparisons that you can draw to other games which are perhaps chiefly aimed at kids. For example, look at Minecraft. I don't have a particularly big issue with how they operate. They don't stuff it full of microtransactions, to my knowledge, forcing kids to pay a load of shit, for skins or whatever, like all loot crates or whatever they call them. So yeah, that's one issue I have with Fortnite. And the other is that as a game, it's, although I said, although I clearly see that it has its merits and the things that it does well and things it does less well, it's pretty fucking derivative. I mean, if you're going to be honest about it, it's a pretty bog standard take on the battle royale genre. There's not that much exciting about it, and what is exciting strikes me as not, doesn't really doesn't really interest me. Like, the battle royales I like are stuff like PUBG. I really enjoyed, even though it was a little bit messy and so on. I prefer ones a bit more like Scum was okay, even though it wasn't really a battle royale, but you know what I mean. It's sort of that more realistic kind of a feel. Anyway, I'm more into that kind of stuff, and Fortnite very clearly, of course, Apex, by the way, is my kind of thing. Although even that is a little bit off the realistic chart. Anyway, blah blah blah. The point I'm trying to make is, Fortnite isn't really a particularly innovative game. It's pretty derivative, and I think that is significant because it somewhat defines Epic as a company. That they're not innovators or creators. They are, I don't even know what they are. they're sort of, I guess what I'm trying to say is, instead of them trying to make money from creating or innovating or designing something interesting of their own making, they try and extract money and profit from the work of others. So they're like they're really the typical manifestation of a publisher rather than developers. I mean, of course they are that, because they've got the publishing arm. But what I mean is more that the ethos of the company as a whole is less that of a creator and more that of a sort of a corporation. And I think that the way that's even more visible is in the Epic Games Store, because the Epic Games Store is ostensibly created as a competitor to Steam, which is something that a lot of people have been asking for a long time, including myself. I think that some healthy competition to Steam would be good. And this is also a funny thing. A lot of people say, yeah, some competition to Steam would be good, as if there is no such competition. But of course, competition already exists. I mean, look at good old games. Sure, they don't sell exactly the same games, but they're still competing with Steam to a certain sense, in that they're a digital platform that has a wide user base. That Steam is not the only platform. Even something like the Humble Store is a competitor to Steam, and is doing quite well. Now, the thing with Epic is that they want to. The thing that's duplicitous about Epic is that they've created their own store, their Epic Game Store, and outwards they've said the reason we've created this is because we want to be a force for good in the gaming industry. We want to break up Steam's monopoly, which is bad for gamers, because we have the gamers' interests at heart. So if we break down that claim, that's the claim that their motive is. Okay, so that's their claim. So let's judge people by their actions, not by their words. What is it they're doing to back up that's what is it they're doing that aligns with that explicit intention? Well, first of all, they're going to make a launcher which has features more beneficial to gamers than Steam. Okay, so what have they done so far? They've made a launcher with basically zero features. In the beginning you couldn't even chat with each other. Now there's some sort of basic chat functionality, a friends list, but there's nothing in the way of achievements, reviews, similar games. There's no community features, no forums, no discussions. There's no workshop, for Christ's sake. There's no way of getting mods for your games integrated into the platform like Steam. And you might think, well, that's all just like fluff around the edges, but it isn't, because if your aim is to be a platform to the benefit of gamers, if that's what you claim you're trying to do, then you better provide gamers with some of the features that gamers want or perhaps even need. And you might think, well, it doesn't really have any ramifications, but it does have ramifications when you introduce the other thing that Epic does, which Steam does not do, which is the exclusivity deals. Because the way that's, clearly if you were to just have the same price for the same product on two different platforms, one of them looked like Epic or one of them looked like Steam, you'd obviously go to Steam because they have way more features and functionality. So clearly Steam is the best choice. So Epic has to compete. So in order to compete, they make these exclusivity deals where they'll take a game or even an entire developer and just give them a shitload of money that they made off Fortnite and invest into their platform by offering that cash to the developer to only sell their games on their platform. So if you take an example of this, where they've gone to Psyonix, who make Rocket League, which is a very popular game on Steam, and they've now bought the exclusive rights to distribute their game on the Epic Game Store. So for a game like Rocket League to move to the Epic Game Store, you might argue it's no big deal. You just get an Epic account and buy one there. But the point is that the community around Rocket League is quite a vibrant one, with lots of, there's lots of discussions, there's lots of sharing of media, there's lots of mods, if nothing else. Mods to the game that massively increase the longevity. And when you move that kind of a game to Epic, you kill off that whole side of the game, or you at least make it more difficult until you have the functionality provided to support that part of the game. And if you take, I mean, if you're maybe not into those kinds of, like, I don't know what kind of game that is, sport game, race, like car, like, I don't know. If you're not into car sport games, think of another game which is very mod heavy, like, for example, Left 4 Dead 2. Or RimWorld if you're into strategy games. If those ones shifted over to the Epic Game Store, you'd lose a massive part of the community around that game. So that's clearly to the detriment of gamers, right? And also, even if there is no such modding scene around it, take a game like Anno 1800, which have been really looking forward to, which now is only available on their store. What this means to me as a gamer is that in order for me to play this game, I have to buy it in a separate platform where until recently I couldn't even chat to my friends, but now there's no functionality or features or bells or whistles provided to me as a gamer. There's just no support in any other way around the game except the simple functionality of going in and buying the game and playing it. So clearly, I, as a gamer, would prefer to have it on Steam, but I can't because they bought the exclusivity deal. So I feel that's a detriment to me. And this is repeated in all these exclusivity deals, and perhaps the most egregious examples are the ones where a game has been crowdfunded, and the reward for the crowdfunding projects is given as like, oh, there's a key at the end of it that you get for Steam. But then Epic come along and pick them up. Now I'm thinking of games like Phoenix Point, for example. And they say, oh yeah, no, well now we're going to go to the Epic Game Store because we've been given a shitload of money from Epic. But, that's to the detriment of gamers. And clearly it is, because that's why people are getting upset. If the Epic Game Store was as good as Steam, then people wouldn't mind going to it and using it. The problem is that they're trying to gain a customer base not through providing benefits or beneficial features to gamers, but by purchasing exclusives, which is to the detriment of gamers. So they're doing the opposite of their stated aim. And that's just what makes them so duplicitous. It's this classic corporate speak, And it's no coincidence that it was Epic together with EA sitting in this hearing in the UK Parliament, just giving nonsense answers, just like completely dodging questions. EA said their shit about surprise mechanics, which I already ranted about once, and Epic was just defending that. They asked something like, well, how long does a game session last in your games? They said, oh, we don't know. They said, well, do people play more than one game in one sitting? And they say they don't know. But obviously they know that. All games collect metrics. It's like a standard part of the user agreements that you sign when you click yes, I agree, when you haven't even read it. Of course they know. They were asked, well, what do you do to help prevent people developing addictive behavior playing your games? And the representative said, I don't know. Well, clearly the answer is nothing, because they don't give a shit. And again, that's to the detriment of gamers. It's not for the benefit of gamers. And then they argue, well, actually, we're for the benefit for gamers indirectly, because when you buy a game from us, we only take a 12% cut instead of a 30% cut, which Steam takes. And what that means is that more money goes back to developers and publishers. But this is also nonsense, because that money goes to publishers. It's the publishers they're dealing with. And this is clear from bunches of games, and the exact game I can't remember now which one it was. It might have been Anno, where the developers were still creating and uploading the Steam achievements for the game when they got word that, oh shit, actually we're going to be an Epic exclusive because the publishers negotiated this deal. So they were already at the point of integrating it into Steam when they were ripped away. Take a game like that Metro Exodus game. They were on Steam up to 2 weeks before release, and then they were pulled off to the Epic Game Store for a 1-year exclusivity deal. Now that's clearly not the design of a developer, that's the design of a publisher. And then we get into, well, is that good for gamers or not? Well, then you have the power struggle between developers and publishers that I mentioned before. And I don't mean power struggle as in they're both trying to take command of the same thing, but I mean there's a conflict of interests between the developer and the publisher. The developers are going to be creative teams with their own ideas and visions for a game, the mechanics, how it fits together with the theme, and the whole design of a game. Now, the publishers are going to be funding different sets of developers, and they'll be more or less engaged in deciding the direction games take. But their interest is to make money for their shareholders, because they're a corporate entity. That's what they want to do. You can argue, yeah, developers want to sell games too. Fine, but you don't study fucking game development for years because you want to make money as your primary aim. The primary aim of game developers is clearly an artistic expression. Some kind of, presumably it's as cathartic as any other artistic expression. And that's what the developers are doing. They're creating an artistic expression of some kind of game which they enjoy, which they want other people to enjoy. The publishers, their interest is corporate. They want to make money. So when you say, oh, Epic is helping the gaming industry by shooting an extra 18 points or 18% to the publishers compared to Steam, then I disagree. I don't think that the publishers should get any more money than they got now. I think already the power balance is far too skewed to the publishers. The developers don't, and they're not going to see the arse end of that fucking money. They've already been paid for the product. It's just nonsense to make that claim. So I just think Epic is this cynical, duplicitous corporation that's trying to masquerade as some sort of saviour of the gaming industry. But it's just bullshit. And if you want a perfect contrast with a company which actually is doing something that's good for the gaming industry, look at Project Red and their platform, Good Old Games, GOG. They made this new platform, GOG Galaxy 2.0. Now, this new platform, which is in beta testing right now, and I'm keenly awaiting my key to go check it out, which should be rolling out in the next couple of weeks, is it's a platform that provides players with the ability to view and launch all of their games across all platforms. So that's the Origin store, it's the Uplay store, it's fucking, the Paradox storefront, Steam, fucking Epic. All of them. You can see all of your games in one place, all of your friends in one place, all of your achievements in one place. And they're developing features that gamers actually want. That is how to develop a product that competes with Steam, rooted in the players' interests rather than corporate interests. So that's the thing. And I think Epic wouldn't even be that annoying if they just said, yeah, well, we want to compete with Steam, so we're going to buy all these exclusive deals, and I know our platform is shit, but, you have to come and use it because you want to make money. That would be less annoying than if they came out and said, oh, well, we're doing this for the good of the industry, and we've got your gamer's best interest at heart. That's what we're doing. Because that's just complete bollocks. It's just nonsense, because that's clearly not what they're doing. Compare with Project Red. Compare with Galaxy 2.0. That is what players want. That's at least what I want. I don't know. I've never met a gamer who could say with a straight face, I just wish that my digital platform had less features. I just wish it had I just wish there were fewer possibilities to chat to my friends and to upload media and to share screenshots. I just wish that it was a bit, a bit leaner on that side. No one wants that. So I just don't get this shit with Epic going on about how fucking brilliant they are, doing what's best for the industry, because it's nonsense. It's just a load of nonsense. That's why I don't like Epic. Man, this was a low energy rant, so congratulations if you sat through it. I don't know, maybe I'll fucking delete it. Nah, I'll upload it, fuck it. If you listen, you listen, otherwise, I don't know, whatever. Okay, hey, bye, the end.